Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for joining the Spiritist Talk series promoted by the United States Spiritist Federation. We meet every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I am very, very happy to be here and to be the host of this particular talk by JUSSARA KORNGOLD. JUSSARA, will be leading our life with this theme, decodifying sleep and dreams according to Spiritism. Very intrigued I am already. But if I may, I'd like to take a moment to make a few announcements. So let's start with our first one. And wanted to share with everyone the podcast like series, Psychology and Spirituality, a bridge to a better life based on the works by Joanna de Angelis. There's a new episode every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And please note that the Psychology and Spirituality weekly talks are based on the works by Joanna de Angelis, but they're there to offer a safe space to confront, compare, correlate, and expand spirituality concepts from a psychological lens, and as a result, bring in insights, actionable tips, and real world advice to help you and I lead a better life. Please subscribe to receive notifications of new episodes at the USSF YouTube channel. Let's go for another announcement. Yes, I'm really excited because the United States Spiritist Federation is hosting in September, specifically on September 30th, 2023, in Portland, Oregon, the 17th U.S. Spiritist Symposium. This symposium will focus on the topic of spiritual path to mental balance. It has a full day program, including talks, panel discussions, Q&A sessions, youth panels, kids and youth activities. Yes, amazing opportunity for all of us. Please note registrations are open, and take a look at the event program by registering at www.spiritistsymposium.org. My final announcement, if you take a look to see on the screen, you'll notice there is a QR code. And if you want to help the U.S. Spiritist Federation produce, let's say publications and promoting Spiritism to everyone, please do take a moment to scan the QR code on screen for your donation. Now, back to you, Jussara. It is so good, Jussara, to share the next hour and a half with you today. And I want to welcome you along with everyone who's watching this live broadcast. Thank you. And I'm sure everyone is as eager as I am to hear from you, Jussara. But before you start, I would like to formally introduce you for, I doubt it, but for anyone who has yet not met you yet. So let's go ahead and introduce Jussara. Jussara KORNGOLD is currently the General Secretary of the International Spiritist Council. She is the former president and current vice president of the United States Spiritist Federation. She's also the founder and president of the Spiritist Group of New York and the Spiritist Alliance for Books. Please note, Jussara is amazingly so fluent in Portuguese, English, French, and Spanish. She's also an international speaker, a published author, and a translator. Jussara works for the Brazil Child Health Dara Institute as its main executive. I would like to take a moment now to welcome Jussara with your thoughts, your welcomes, your notes in the chat window, but please also note that Jussara has reserved some time at the end of this talk to answer to any question that you may have. So take a moment, send your feedback, send your hello, send your questions, and we'll be very happy to hear from you. Jussara, thank you so much. And you have the mic.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, the United States Spiritist Federation. We are really having a great time every Saturday morning for us here in the U.S. With so many different topics and all our guests. And we are very, very thankful for this work that, of course, can only be accomplished with so many people, so many volunteers, everyone that is here every Saturday to make this possible. And today we have a very big topic, right? A very big topic talking about is sleep and dreams through the lens of Spiritism. Why do I say it's a very big topic? Because it is a topic that not even science yet has all the answers. We see that there are many conjectures, many assumptions in terms of what is actually all this process of dreams, especially even when we talk about sleep. Why do some people need to sleep 3-4 hours a night while others need 12 hours or cannot even sleep because of insomnia? So it is a mystery that happens to us, that touches us directly and can tremendously influence our day-to-day lives. And when we are talking about all this, this topic in terms of sleeping, the preparation for us to sleep, we have to understand that our dreams, our rest really begins at the moment that we return, that we wake up in the morning. How do I prepare for a good night's sleep and for dreams? And so far, I'm going to be referring this as dreams, but in Spiritism, we understand that we have different kinds of experiences during the night. Some of them that we can really call dreams, that will be more the representation of, our worries, our day-to-day lives, but others that will be the result of encounters that we are going to have during the night. We will talk more about that later. So how do we prepare already in the moment that we wake up? So is how we are going to plan our day to try to see if we can have a more peaceful day as possible, a day that we are going to be understanding that is a new opportunity for us to do what we actually came to do here, which is to work on our inner improvement and perfecting ourselves and learning and through our relationships, be able to experience the pains, the happiness of others. So all of that happens during the day. So this is the first part of our day, the moment when we come back, we pray with gratitude for being one day more capable of doing that, and all the activities that are going to follow. We will try to make it a day that we, at the end of the day, when we finally go to bed, we will be able to say that was a good day, a fruitful day, a day that I learned even when we have, adversities that comes to us. The spirit Joana de Angelis in the book Moments of Harmony says the following: rest through sleep is indispensable for the psychophysical balance of beings, especially humans. So there is no way that we can go without sleep. We have to have this moment of rest that for our physical body, our organs, all our body needs that, but also our mental part, when we are talking about the brain and all the synapses and all that, we need this time to rest so that we can be in balance, be in a good way, to be productive. And we have to think about that. Basically, on an average, we sleep 1/3 of our life, right? So it is very important for us to understand all the importance of that and all the necessary rest that our physical body needs. So she says that when we seek rest, take care of your emotional panorama through meditation and renew your mind through prayer. Because many times we go to bed so overwhelmed by the events that happen during that day, and we feel so uneasy that is, first of all, it's very difficult for us to sleep at all when we are like this. But also when finally let's say the body gives up, it's so tired, the same kind of thoughts and emotions are going to be running through our minds in the same way, and will not allow us to have a good night's sleep, renewed one. So that's why she talks about meditation, prayer, anything that can help you to relax, to have this kind of rest. One thing that she also points out is review the activities of the day and propose to rehabilitate yourself in the incidents you consider unfortunate in which you identify yourselves. We have this, your mistakes. We have this question on the Spirit's book 919A, where the Spirit St. Augustine talks about his own experience of assessing his behavior during the day. And this is one thing that we should be doing as well, because the only way for us to be able to grow and be able to overcome, our imperfections is really to look at them, to have a face-to-face with them, not being afraid of dealing with it. And in a way, when we stop to do that, we will be able to make plans and a strategy, so to say, so that in the following day we can try to commit the same mistakes that we did before. And of course, do not bring depressive, distressing, angry, or disturbing thoughts to bed, which is obviously. And I know that in theory this can seem to be not that difficult and it's so logical, but at the same time, we all know how hard it is for us to tame the beast that lives inside of us. And many times, it's so easy for us to just give in to those kind of emotions. But it is one thing that we at least have to have in our conscience, that we should try to prevent that. That's why all the time when we are Jesus was talking about it, other philosophers, and we in the Spiritism talk about it, the importance of forgiveness, the importance of loving even the enemies, the importance of, being generous, and all the other virtues that Jesus taught us in the Sermon on the Mount. So she continues saying, the moments preceding sleep should be of mental hygiene, preparing for other activities that will occur during the process of physical and mental rest. So we should plan goodness, vitalize our mind, leave everything before you sleep, this in this area of, vitalizing the mind, planning the good, seeing like it's already happening. And as soon as sleep occurs, what is going to happen? The good spirits, the spirits that are connected to us, will come to us and will take us to better regions. When we wake up, we will have a pleasant, the remembrance of pleasant, invigorating dreams that will give us this well-being. Of course, we know that not always is like this, but this is our aim. When from the moment where we wake up in the morning, we prepare ourselves. Before going to bed, we do the same kind of preparation. We plan the good things, vitalizing our minds, and then being able to, on an energy level, commune with spirits, with the king spirits. So we will be having a much better kind of rest and mental rest as well. So she ends up this part by saying, do not neglect the education of your mind, the maintenance of healthy habits, uplifting programs, so that all your hours are beneficial for your inner growth and a life of peace. Even when we are resting, we can choose things that are going to be productive to us. So even when we are on a vacation, instead of sometimes just be or getting into the rhythm that we are normally in life, we can just remember you are on vacation. Try to be relaxed. Try to be less stressed and all that can definitely help in this sense. So one thing that she says in another book, Moral Laws of Life, she says about improve yourself, elevate yourself, transcend yourself through the exercise of wholesome thoughts and constructive actions. This is when we advise everyone also that sometimes before going to bed, you can resort to uplifting reading as well, that is going to take your mind, take yourself to a different mental outlook that sometimes was very much affected by the day-to-day life. So prayer, again, we remember that when we talk about prayer and spiritism, we are not just about saying out loud or words that we know by heart, memorized prayers, but it's really to talk to God. It's really to talk to the good spirits. It's really asking for the protection, for the courage, for the enlightenment in terms of being capable to know exactly who we are and what needs to be adjusted so that we can succeed in this life program that we are having now, this opportunity of living that we are having now. And Joana de Angelis continues in the same book saying that sleep represents a great contribution to health, emotional harmony, mental clarity, and action in the various endeavors of human existence. In this moment that certain cortical cells responsible for sleep become numb, the cliches of the unconscious are released, transforming invaluable catharsis for maintaining a balanced mental landscape. And overwhelmed by repressed emotions, painful reminiscences, frustrations, pressures, and anxieties that turn into conflicts and various complexes, the unconscious reveal itself in dream states, giving rise to dreams of undeniable value to psychoanalysts for the study of behavior and personality. So this is where finally we get to this whole preparation, going to sleep, analyzing our days, trying to, live a peaceful day as much as possible, and all of those things, assessing about, make an assessment about our day. But now is when we understand what it means to go to and sleep, right? And in terms of the balance of our physical health. But here is where we come to the point where we are going to understand emotional harmony as well, mental clarity as well. And so in the moment that our physical body, like she says, through the cortical cells go into this state of numbness, what happens is that everything that is stored, and remember, it's not just what is stored in one lifetime, but what we have from many lives that is still can be the reason why we cannot advance, or we do not feel that much at ease. And this is where she says, in this state, it is possible for our spirit to go through this stage of catharsis, right? And all those repressed emotions, painful remembrances that we have, depressions, pressures, frustrations, anxieties, they come to surface. And this is how it is when she talks about the importance of, the analyzing all that. Just a second. And use this as valuable results for us to get to know ourselves better, know what it means to all of this that we have inside of us, right? Everything that is cooking here and is somehow impacting us is still on an unconscious level. And sometimes we are doing things that we do not know exactly why. What do we do that? Why do we react in this way? Why do we seem to have some traumas in relation to certain things, like, afraid of heights, afraid of, an insect, or things like that we can find the answers during our sleep stage. So what happened then during the sleep? We are going to talk very superficially here about that, because this is another topic per se, understanding about our spiritual body, that in the Spiritism we call perispirit, that detaches, like we can see here in this image where a woman is sleeping and there are two benefactors that it comes to her and kind of guides her to, this sleep stage. And so she's partially detaching from her physical body. And why do we say partially? Because she cannot move away completely. She's always going to be connected through, the silver cord, like it's commonly known with this expression, the silver cord that connects us, that if it breaks completely, then it means that we no longer can return to our physical body. So this is what happened. We have this detachment, and is when we are going to live the life of the spirit. So there is of the physical body and the spirit body, of course, all of them guided by our spirit. So there is this emancipation. We have to understand that even when we are resting, when we are sleeping, it doesn't mean that our spirit is sleeping with us. On the contrary, many times we will even find people, for instance, that may have impairments that make it difficult for them to act on the day-to-day life. But during the night, during the rest of the physical body, they will not find this hurdle anymore. They will be completely free to move about. So they are no longer subject to the impairment of the physical body, and they can live life fully in terms of a spirit experience. So, and when we do that, of course, we can move away from our physical body. And when we move away from our physical body is when we can have those kinds of experiences, meeting with other spirits, incarnates or discarnates, or, going to different places that we are going to be talking about a little bit more later in our presentation here. But it's important for us to know that, of course, when we are too much attached to everything that is happening to us, to different kinds of worries, it makes us more difficult for us to feel this freedom. And many times we will be, yes, detached from our physical body, but right next to the physical body, which does not allow us to have a restful night. And that is the reason why many times we wake up in the morning the following day feeling so tired, because in fact we could not detach from that much from the body. We could not live the life of the spirits and even go after solutions for the problems that we have in our mind. And so we will as human beings, we will store everything in our mind. This is a very complex topic, of course, but how we have all of this here. And one thing that we have to understand is that as we go into the state of detachment during the sleep time, and that we will be called dream or not, we will be able to live different experiences according to our desires, to our passions. And so this is why people are going to have different evaluations about their sleep state. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Freud. As we know, Freud is the father of the psychoanalysis, right? And one thing that he said is that the dream is the fulfillment of the desire. And this is so true. Because we will go after what we desire. And this is where, everything that we were talking before in terms of our preparation, in terms of paying attention to our day-to-day actions, to how we are going to be conducting ourselves, to how we prepare to sleep. It's crucial. It's crucial because when we talk about this, the fulfillment of the desire, one thing that we have to be very careful is, we have to remember that when we sleep, our spirit goes on a rampage because of attraction to places that it has predilection. So the addict will seek other addicts, the religious it will look for a temple. The charitable soul will meet suffering to assist those in need. And those that are interested in learning and studying will look for courses in spirituality as well. So one thing that we have that we find in the Spirits book is that many people go while they're asleep to worlds even less evolved than Earth. Worlds meaning places, right? Places, we are familiar with the concept of spiritual colonies, and we have spiritual colonies from different natures, those that are more evolved, like we know about, a little more evolved, like we know about NOSSOS, but others that represent places where these keen minds congregate, mostly for still giving place for their passions, for their low base instincts to work. So when we have this kind of inner desires ourselves, this is where we'll go, to places that are even more difficult in terms of spiritual involvement than here on the crust of planet Earth. So through the magnetic currents susceptible of movement, when the sleep of the incarnate is affected, inferior obsessions, permanent persecutions, low-class psychic explorations, destructive vampirism, various temptations are maintained, and they are still few relative incarnate brothers who know how to sleep too good. So we see that when we keep ourselves in this energy level, inferior energy level, this is when we will be more in tune with negative energy, negative spirits, to be even an easier prey to spirits that want to take advantage with us. So that's why when Freud talks about, just I wanted to go back there, the dream is the fulfillment of the desire, we have to pay attention to that. And this is why it was so important for, or is something so important for psychoanalysis, to pay attention to the dreams, because it will tell about us. It will tell about our previous experiences. It will tell about what we have stored in us. It will talk to us about the traumas that we have, and that it still lingers in our unconsciousness, and we have to really pay attention to that. So Freud, because of that, Freud believed that it was necessary to decode dreams, which he regarded as a kind of visible peaks of the unconscious, and psychoanalysis would be the probe capable of unearthing these symbols and deciphering the metaphors they hide. So we see here, and this is it prevails until today. It's not only with Freud now, the importance of decoding those dreams. But when we are talking about decoding dreams, we are not talking about, those trivial dreams, interpretations that we see around. Okay, if you dream about a mountain, it's because you're going to be successful in your job, or all those things. No, we are not talking about that. We are talking about trying to gather the image, the interpretation as much as possible, and try to relate it to events in our lives that has occurred in the past, in this life, or that it's the reason that maybe we are having some worries now, or things that can be related to the future as well. But it is a very difficult process, and it has to be well guided, in the sense, like Freud says here, that the probe capable of really leading us to understand what that dream meant, or we are talking dream, but for this using the terminology, but we could say as well the remembrance, right? The association that comes to our mind represents. So in the book Moral Laws of Life, Joana de Angelis says, when the partial detachment of the soul occurs through natural sleep, driven by desires and passions that uplift or debase, archived memories are released, assaulting the individual in various forms of dreams in which they become involved. Dreams states, as classified by Freud, reside in this chapter, in which sexual fixations take on expressions of reality, dominating multiple psychic sectors of the personality. So here, what she's talking about is that at the moment of the rest of the physical body, these archived memories are capable of returning to us and coming in terms of dreams that may be related to, like we said before, to different kind of experiences and traumas, and even the sexual fixations we have, and of course Freud based his studies a lot in terms of sexual fixations, but everything is related to all this, the desire. Like he said, it's the desire that is going to be present, and it is there that I'm going to be able to get to know myself. So Jung, he said, to dream is to encounter the message of the unconscious in its wise nature. So what is the unconscious trying to tell us? Why is it liberating this message at a certain point in time and not others? Like Freud said, is like, a peak of an iceberg of the unconscious that all of a sudden surface from, the water, sometimes not so clear waters, it can be muddy waters. But yes, why? And I think this is a very important subject for us to be talking about each time more, because the more we think about it, the more we understand ourselves, the more we understand, we will be enabled to get into the reason why we are having those dreams. And I think that many times from experience, I would say, it comes at the proper time that you have to go back in order to liberate yourself. For instance, I'm not going to tell you everything because was going to be too long for our presentation today. We still have a lot to cover today, and I can see that there are so many questions. But let's see. About a month ago, or a bit more, I dreamt that I was drowning, and I wanted to to find a way to survive. Actually, I was drowning because I fell off a building into a river, and I wanted to survive. And when I fell from this building, I thought I have to go with my feet, not my head, because if I hit the water like this, I can still survive. I will break my legs, but I will still survive. And then when I was in the submerged, there was this moment of extreme liberation, that I was not feeling anything in terms of a negative sensation. On the contrary, it was so peaceful. It was so beautiful in a way, and then I was saved. But when I woke up and I was thinking about that and about that experience, what the heck? And actually, a dolphin saved me. Came like another story that I heard. There was a lot of symbology into all that, and finally, thinking about all of that, I remember that at the age of 14, I had a water ski accident that was very similar to that. I saw that I was going to hurt myself, and I tried to prevent my death, or everything that it could be worse. And I was I hit the boat that all of a sudden appeared there, and I had no time to deviate. And that was what happened. And after I hit the boat, I I stayed submerged in the water, a river, for a long time, and because I fainted, I didn't drown, and then someone came and managed to take me out of the water. But I mean, that was so many years ago, and it was coming now, all of this remembrance of everything that was that happened, and the association. And of course I try to see to get to the symbolism and to understand why everything was coming now. But this is just an example for us to think about it. So like Freud says here, is another angle of observing the inner processes that we have. So this was something that perhaps was still weighing me so much, and being afraid, or trying to be in control, and how, all the sensation of liberation came to me. So he says that sometimes it's interesting for us to look at that as if we were another person observing what is happening to us. And the surreal aspects of dreams, symbolic, is nothing more than another language coming from our unconscious, which sees things in a much deeper way than our consciousness could decode. So sometimes, we can say this, for me, was a moment of liberation of a pain, of a trauma that I still stored so much. And now I can get rid of this. And Joana de Angelis says that the more we try to lead a better life, of course, we will find meet situations that are going to be very productive to us. But of course, if we are not, if our mental waves are going to be traveling in different directions, we will, according to our mental waves, we will find the kin spirits that will interchange with us. And I think that's very important what she says here. As a result, the physical space that separates humans becomes irrelevant, as long as they mentally exchange in the realms of our aspirations, interests, and preference that characterize and associate them. So there is no physical space that separates us. That's why, the power of emotions are so important. The power of our connection with all our us is so important. Right? William James, also very known here in the field of psychology, he had this theory talking about transmission theory that was coined by him. And he says, our carnal brain would be like a radio apparatus that receives real stimuli from the real minds. If we break the device, it will no longer be able to bring the source of information. And it will, but it will still be in the environment being transmitted from the radio tower. And so if our brain stops working, it no longer receives the stimuli of the spirit that has a much broader consciousness, according to Spirit's claim. So he was also spiritualist, and he talked about the field of spirit very much, but here he's talking about energy as well. He's talking about the stimuli and how we transmit this wavelengths. They are important in this sense. Let's see, in terms of interpretations, that in this book, Dialogue with the Shadows, Arminio Miranda, he talks about a specific word where he and his group are called after physical sleep to continue attending to those entities that they helped in the process of psychophony in the Spiritist house. So here I already going to stop, because I remember that during the pandemic, many people were, especially those that work in mediumship meetings, were worried because the Spiritist centers had to be closed for for healthy issues. And of course, very important that we did that, you know, also being respectful to the recommendations from the government and all this, and from the scientists. And here it talks perfectly and so clearly in terms of, you know, even when we are having a presential mediumship meeting, it doesn't mean that during our sleep state we are not going to be attending more of those meetings as well. So he said here that during the physical sleeping, they were invited to continue this work. And in terms of his remembrance, he says, they were attacked by some spirits who did not want them to help those disincarnated, but they were protected by the higher spirituality. The most ostentatious mediums remembered as spiritual aid and also remembered being attacked. So they went to sleep, continued the work. This is what happened. And here is what happened in terms of the remembrance of Herminio Miranda from this experience. He brought a symbolic dream. He didn't really remember quite well the experience. He only dreamed that he was taking people from the earth, like in a great anthill, and the ants attacked him and tried to prick his skin. So it was a symbolism written by his brain. So he brought to his mind the experience through a symbolic images. So Joana de Angelis talks about continue talking about the importance of those symbols, and for us to analyze them and to understand that all these symbols, everything that comes from the unconscious comes from the world of the spirits, that it represents what we are living now, what we lived in previous existences, what we lived during the time we remain in the spirit world. And it will, like we mentioned before, bring about, you know, these psychological processes that will help us. But again, she tells us to be careful in interpreting the psychological symbols and paying attention that they are much more concrete experiences than just, you know, like we said before, trivial results and connected to interpretations that have nothing to do with the reality. In the Spirit's book, What Should We Think About the Various Meanings Attributed to Dreams? Dreams are true in the sense that they present real images to the spirit, but these images often have no relation to what occurs in its corporeal life. They many times bring memories of the past, can be presentiment, or can be a vision of what is going to be happening. I really emphasize the need for us to also read for those who want to know even more about sleep state and dreams. In the Spirit's book, we have from questions 401 to 420, if I'm not mistaken, but it's like about 20 questions and answers, just talking about everything that we can learn about dreams. So again, the world of dreams is going to talk about this deep psychological processes and bring in terms of symbolism. And this symbolism represents many times what we are living as a spirit in the world of the spirits. And sometimes, you know, the experience is mixed, right? We bring in a terminology like it's more known to us, we feel more comfortable, and we are going to see an example here in the books, The Messengers by the Spirit Andrea Louis, psychographic by Chico Xavier, there is the case of this woman that she was suffering slender, and in this dream, she has a dream that she met with her grandmother. And actually, Andrea Luiz and the spirits are Aniceto and others are there in analyzing all this. There was really this meeting between her grandmother and herself, and of course she was very upset with everything that was happening to her. And so what she is going to getting the interpretation from this dream is that there is, like, you know, a snake that is attacking her. And of course, there is all this conversation with her grandmother, and her grandmother trying to make her feel more at peace, to not give herself too much to this, you know, slender and all of this. And then during this, the way that she's going to interpret and say later on is that it's like she saw that this glass snake that was trying to attack her all of a sudden was shattered, and it became a flower that she could still smell. It had the memory of the aroma of the flower. And of course, when Andrea Luiz, we know he's very inquisitive, and he thinks about all that. He says, oh my God, right. It's in terms of symbolism, of course, this is what happened. There was someone that was menacing her, that was the glass snake. And the grandmother that was calming her down, talking about, you know, her not to be that much, you know, involved with all this. And little by little, according to the conversation, for her, when she brings back to memories, like, you know, the snake shattered and, you know, disappeared, was conquered and became a flower. And Andrea Luiz and Aniceto is going to explain that she is going to remember the symbolic images, because she will not be able to retain completely all this, the memory of the dialogue, the conversation. And why? We can ask why as well, right? And because when we are in this dream state, you know, detached from our physical body, our physical brain is not participating in the life of the spirit. So this is why it's sometimes so difficult for us to bring the memories. And when we bring those fragments, those symbolisms, they will not represent exactly what happened there. So Aniceto explains here about Freud, that although he came up with wonderful solutions, he had limitations because he was not analyzing the life of the spirit as well. So why don't we remember the book, The Messengers, in chapter 38 tells us, we will remember the advices, and but between us and the spirit, there is a thick veil. It is this wall, the wall of vibrations. Without the temporary obliteration of memory, the opportunity would not be renewed if our field had been frankly open to them. They would forget the immediate obligations. They would cherish parasitism, harming evolution itself. This is why they are rarely lucid by our side. In most cases, along with us, they remain a wavering wicked. And so this is why we have this impact in the book, Heaven, between Earth and between heaven and earth, chapter 7, we have the example of a woman that was taken to a place where her son that had died was, and so she was able to visit him and stayed with him. But when she returned to her physical body, she couldn't remember that much of the dream, but just the impressions and everything that she could feel with the being in the presence of her late son. And sometimes, this is also very important for us, because André Luiz, in another occasions, he mentions that if we would remember, for this mother to remember the situation, it can completely, it may impact your day-to-day lives. It may lead you to not feel the desire to return, and in this way, compromising your physical life. So for us to go to the end of our presentation, the benefits of a spirit, of sleep, there are many things that it can be therapeutic, because, at this moment we can meet as well and have the opportunity with reconciling with spirits that somehow are attached to us and are preventing us to be liberated. They harbor feelings of hatred and revenge towards us. Sometimes as well, it's a way of us healing the past, when we can recall the experiences and meet those that we have harmed as well, and be able to somehow confront the situation. We see this example very clearly in the book, The Missionaries of Light, where there is a spirit that is wanting to reincarnate, but he in a previous existence, he killed the father to be. And so now the father, feeling the approximation of this spirit, he doesn't want to receive him as a son, so that they can make amends. And this is why there is intervention of the good spirits, and the spirit sincerely showing him that he would like his forgiveness, and that he's going to be dedicating to him. And in this way, it is possible for the pregnancy to take its course, and for the spirit to return. So this is a way of healing the past. We can seek advice and going through places where we will be learning more and meeting incarnate and discarnate friends. We can have predictions from the future, the prophecies. And here we have the prophecy of Don Bosco, that he, at the age of the Saint John Bosco, at 9 years old, he dreamt that he had a mission to help children that were in distress. And it's a beautiful life. I recommend all of you to read about it. And finally, of course, it is a moment where we can prepare ourselves even better. We can, if we prepare ourselves during the day, before going to sleep, we can seek for a way of improving ourselves, to training and participating in classes lessons where we will be guided by mentors, like André Luiz talks about in the Missionaries of Light, in the Domain of Mediumship, and so many other books. So this is also important for us, like we said before, in terms of the spiritual work. With the example of Hermínio Miranda, we can also continue this kind of work. And this is some of the things, because like we said, this is a very, very big subject in so many senses, right? Big for science, big for us in the Spiritism, big for me. But it's just an overall of how we should find a way to pay more attention, to give more importance to this important time that we have in our daily lives, so that we can benefit, grow, and go through a real healing process and liberating ourselves from trauma, paying more attention to the importance of those hours and what they represent for us as immortal spirits.
Thank you so much, Jussara. Thank you. It puts a whole different perspective to that so-called third of our lives that is wasted, right? It's wasted because we're not producing anything from a physical, material sense. Oh, wow. But we have lots and lots of questions. So let's go ahead and get started. So, hi, Luis. Luis has sent several, by the way. So let's start with his first one. Jussara, in your experience, how can we recognize a memory from a dream as something from a past life of ours?
Well, I know definitely we can recognize, in the sense that we will see it related to a different time. You know, sometimes we will even feel as ourselves, but see ourselves differently. The whole place, the landscape where we are is going to be different, but we cannot be sure. You know, we know that there is this veil. The only thing that we are sure is, of course, that there is this possibility, and that is going to happen. We will have those remembrances as a therapeutic process for us to heal, like we were saying here, in terms of going to a catharsis, bringing about, you know, the emotions, because it is not the event per se that is important, but the emotions that were at play at the moment that we are having these remembrances. So in this lifetime, like, you know, even the example that I gave, you know, in my interpretation, it may be not even the right one, right? But in my interpretation, I associated with something that happened in my teenager years. But so it was an easy jump to go. But it, depending on, you know, the kind of remembrance that I'm going to have, I will only say, well, definitely I don't think this is from this incarnation. It has to be related to a previous one. But there is no way for sure that for us to be completely, you know, 100% sure that this is what happened. On the other hand, we know that this is possible. We know that this happened. So chances are,
it is. Very, very good. So Louise, I just say, you as a spiritist with a lot of knowledge, you should know, right? Hey, this is me giving myself a bit of memory. So let's treat with honor and respect those memories. Yeah. So let's see if we have another one. And we have just out of this question, for those of us who are grieving the loss of loved one, can we meet them during our dreams? If so, what can we do to ensure we do that and remember those encounters? So it's a tall order. Is there a recipe for us, especially during the process of losing a loved one, right?
Well, the first thing is losing the physical loved one. It's very hard, right? I mean, we still live in the world of physicality, so we still need the physical presence, the hugs, you know. Even, you know, the bad moments sometimes that we will have with those loved ones. But the thing is, we learn in the Spiritism that they are never away, right? That we will never lose them. On the contrary, we always have the opportunity of, you know, tighten our bonds even more. And the first thing that we should do is always to send our love our love to them in form of prayers, in form of remembrance, in terms of forgiveness, because there are always going to be some things that we will say, you know what, this was so unimportant, and only now I can realize that. And depending on the situation and the time that they have passed, they may be in condition to receive visitors or not, very much like when we go to the hospital, right? Depending on the situation, we will receive news from them. The doctors will come to talk to us. They will appease our hearts, but not necessarily so shortly after we will have this possibility. But yes, it is a possibility. Many of us do that, when you say, oh, I dreamed with a loved one that passed. Well, chances are you didn't dream with this loved one. That was a true meeting. And that, of course, you are only going to be able to, according to your knowledge, or, to say, all right, I dreamt about it. But for us in the Spiritism, you dreamt about a loved one. Yeah, you can be sure that you met this loved one.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. Awesome for all of us, especially for when, because it's a fatal thing, right? It's a determined thing that we all will go through some sort of grief. That we have that consolation to have access through dreams. Thank you, JUSSARA. So Louise, hi Louise again. JUSSARA, sometimes we have memories of different dreams that are a continuation of other dreams that we had before. Love that. Can we associate those with recurring visits of our souls to the same place? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think this is quite interesting. I mean, I have the experience of, being able to wake up in the night and say, oh, I don't want to wake up. I wanted to get back where I was. And then I do that. So I can do that, not often, okay, and I don't remember quite often, but I can do that even in the same night. And why wouldn't we be able to do that in different nights? Like, remember we said about, going to courses, to advice, to learning. So we will get back to those places many times. And I think it's just part of the experience we are living, the things we are living during our dream state. So let's say I like the spiritual colony, Summerland, the one that Andrew Jackson Davis talks about very much. I hope to always be able to go back there. And of course, I will be having this recurring, dreams of those visits, because this is exactly what I'm doing. The thing is, for the majority of us, we don't remember that much. Right, we don't have that clear remembrance, but it doesn't mean that because we are not remembering that it's not happening. It's very much like it doesn't mean because I don't see spirits that they do not exist. I don't see microwaves that they do not exist. I don't see the UV rays and they do not exist. Right. So this is what we can think about it.
Yeah, if I could add, JUSSARA would say it's really moving away from the randomness of your brain waves just popping up and creating that series of visions, if you will, during the dream, into a very intentional design process to help us through our journey on Earth or in the spiritual dimension. Let's see if we have another one. So we have another one. Hello, folks from Grupo Fraterno. And they asked us, how can we identify if a memory of our dream is actually from an emancipation from the body experience?
What they say is that when we have remembrances, commonly said, okay, there are too fragmented, that they are more the results of our brain. Okay, the worries that we have, maybe still some traumas, but we are not going to discard that. Okay, Freud, Jung, right? We are not going to discard that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's not exactly, the emancipation. Emancipation always happen. Okay, it's how much I'm going to emancipate. If I'm going to be stuck next to my body and then leaving the memories and the worries of my physical life, or whether I'm going to, take a walk. Take a walk in the park, right? Or go into other places and live different experiences. So normally they make more sense. They are more like a complete history, right? I mean, even if it doesn't make that much sense, like I was on the top of the building, all of a sudden I felt I wanted to prevent myself from dying. I didn't mind about breaking my legs, which it was what happened in my accident. I failed to mention, I broke many parts of my leg.
Oh.
and arm, and but I lived, and I mean, and then there was a river, right? I was running from a building right next to the whole thing doesn't make that much sense, but it makes a complete story. Like the story of, there is this viper, this snake that is trying to attack, but all of a sudden it's shattered, and then it becomes a flower. So there is a narrative that goes with that. But when it's just like a more like psychedelic dreams, most of the time they are more related to, to the busy mind.
Yeah. But it's awesome, right? The idea of the title, decodifying sleep, becoming very nimble at understanding the language of dreams, because it's the language of our unconscious. So I think it's very, very interesting topic. And we have another one. If you spoke about Freud and Jung, if according to Freud, the dream is the fulfillment of the desire, and that we will go after what we desire, what if the desire is not something that is good for us? Can we avoid it, or is it unavoidable?
That's why we took a while in our presentation to talk about the preparation to sleep. From the moment you wake up in the day that you are going to sleep again. Because this is the best way for us to shield ourselves, to find more strength, not to give way to desires that are like the Apostle Paul said, everything is allowed to me, but not everything is convenient. So we can do everything, but not everything is good for us. So knowing that and knowing our tendencies, because if we pay attention to ourselves, if we look more at our, Insta self,
yeah,
right, we will know what it is that is still, hard in us, and then we will have to find means to look for a strategy to at least to minimize, because I'm reading this book. I have to show you because it's a fantastic book about Janusz Korczak. He was a Jewish doctor that decided to, at the time of in Poland, and you already know how hard it was. And then First War, Second World War, and he decided even to leave his career as a doctor, of course, always using his possibilities, to run 2 orphanages, one for Jewish children and another one for Christian children. and facing all the struggles that you can imagine was there during the time, until he was obliged to give up the Christian one because he was a Jewish and had to be in the ghetto and etc. But there, he ran this orphanage in with a very in a very democratic way. All the children had their voice. They had who knows that the children were going to be participating, and well, he studied PELOS. He studied, he went to Paris for courses at the time as well, and so he had there are many books that he wrote about education of children, and there is one part that they have this system of everyone presenting themselves and talking about themselves in terms of what they did wrong. Even they would come and say, it's not because you didn't see, but I did that and it's bad. And there was a boy that it seemed that every day he would hit someone, another child on the school. And so Korczak, he comes to talk to this boy and said, and they have all this reward process as well. He said, if you manage to hit a child just 3 days this week, you're going to be rewarded. I thought that was so amazing, so realistic. Because, how come a child that hits someone every day will just stop completely?
Yeah.
Now he has to find a way to put a frame in himself and say, no, just 3 days a week. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is, we have to find ways of refraining ourselves, even if we are not going to be capable of doing that, 7 days a week. But if we can do 4 days a week already.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
This is what I gather from the story, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you. Let's see if we have any additional. So Louise mentioned, JUSSARA, from your studies, how frequently do we actually experience an emancipation from the body while asleep? Does it happen every time we sleep? Great question, Louise.
I mean, if it does not happen, it should. Because this is the way that our physical body is going to rest. This is the way, like Joanna de Angelis said, we will have physical and mental health. So hopefully we are, even if it's not for, let's say this 8 hours, not a big time of so many hours, but that we will be doing that daily.
Yeah, I love it, right? It's that the well-being that we are giving to ourselves, a treatment, if you will, to ourselves mentally and physically. Thank you. So let's see if we have another one. And we have how to react to difficult dreams, like recurring ones. Any tip on what to do when we wake up and remember a dream that appeared to be significant?
I think when we have recurring dreams, and normally when we, like you say, they are difficult ones, they are related to traumas. And I think the only way, I'm saying I think, okay? It's JUSSARA giving the answer, okay? There might be answers better than mine. The only way for us to deal with traumas is facing them. And so instead of being afraid, is facing them. I remember that there was a time that I dreamt so often about tsunamis, right? The tsunami was coming and it would engulf me completely, and that was terrifying. Again, me drowning. So we have to say, well, that was a traumatic experience. I don't know if the experience was this one, but it is in the past. So this is why when the process of catharsis comes to place, right? It comes to surface. It's coming back until we make them smaller, right?
Yeah.
They are big, but now I'm going to make them smaller. And one thing of making them smaller is saying, this is from the past. There is no more reason for me to be afraid of that. This is something that happened. It's not happening now. And
That's a good point.
It's going to happen again. So the only way is to face it, is to say why, if we are still dreaming about it, it's because we have not recovered yet from it. And so what more other work do I have to do in order to, to convince myself that there is no need for me to be afraid of this anymore?
Yeah, the image that came to my mind as you spoke, JUSSARA, and again, this is Marcia speaking, no reference to anybody, but it's just look at yourself as a child, a young child, and like hold the child as a baby, as a toddler, and say, listen, just like what you said, this happened in the past. I know you're afraid, maybe you're even going through some anxiety, etc., over that recurring dream, but it's in the past. Let's break down. Let's look at it from a distance of a different existence, a new life, if you will. See, we have Nicole. Hi, Nicole. A Trank who said, how do I know the late family member was him? I think she mentioned a different question, right? So let's just keep reading. Come into my dream, or just imagine it was him. My late father showed up one day after 3-4 years after his death. He was inside the pool. Yeah, thank you. How do I know it was really him or just my imagination?
Yeah, and then she continues, or she mentioned that he loved his pool. Sure. You know what, Nicole? I think sometimes we question so much, right? We want reason to prevail so much. And the reason that we have is the reason that is guided by our physical life, the material life. And if I were you, I really would take that as an encounter. And I think there is even the symbolism, like you said, that he showed himself in a place that he loved it, like you said, So there is no reason why that would be another spirit trying to, to play jokes at you. Or, and I mean, the time that he has died, it's sufficient time for him to be able to come and visit. And I think that I would say that, you seeing him in a pool, to me, it means that he's happy. Because said he loved this pool so much. This is when he was happy. So I think the message is more to tell you that he's happy. He is as happy when he was in his pool, enjoying his pool. So I think that you should cherish this memory, and now even having the certitude that the message that he sent to you is that he is okay. That is like when he was in the pool, and keep this for you, because it's really beautiful.
I love it. Thank you, Nicole, for sharing. Let's see if we have another one. And John, hi John. John Sheehan said, when we awake feeling sad or depressed, is it because we've had news or instruction regarding our weakness or failure, or is it the knowledge that what we desire is not attainable? That's a complex one.
Well, like I always say, the thing about questions related to our spirituality and is spirit, the only problem with them is that we never have just one answer for them. So here we can say a person may wake up sad or depressed because he's going through a chemical imbalance of the brain. So perhaps is in need of a treatment to deal with that. And there is always age that comes into place as well. You know, we know that there is a tendency for us, you know, the more we grow older, and we will have as well these hormones and balance of hormones. So this is one thing that we could say. Is that one thing is, we are dealing with so much in life, and like I said before, we may not detach quite well from the physical body, and then we continue living and reliving during sleep, but it is not sleeping but not resting, you know, all of that. And so we wake up sad, depressed, tired, or we maybe went to places that we should have been, and you wake up with a guilt conscience, which is going to put you in a sad and depressed mood, or this that you said, we can see ourselves in the mirror and not be happy, because, you know, life outside of the body is clearer than the one that we have when the physical body is in command. And then we don't hide that much from ourselves. And maybe we are not that pleased with what we see ourselves, or maybe it's because you went to a wonderful place, had a wonderful meeting with a loved one, and you keep this remembrance saying, I don't want to go back. Here is so much better.
Yeah.
So it can be because of and this is one of the reasons why Andrea Luiz says we cannot remember the best ones. We don't remember, because otherwise I would say, why do I have to keep lingering here, you know, strolling with difficulty, you know, one foot after the next here, when I can fly, when I can have so many beautiful experiences. So that could be it as well. That could be a good thing. And we say, and we come somehow affected, because instead of enjoying all the beautiful moment we lived, we will keep the remembrance. That was wonderful, but I don't want to go back. I want to stay here.
Not yet, right? Not yet.
Not yet. Soon enough.
Yeah. So hi Mark, said, excellent peeling of a complex onion. I agree with you, Mark. And Louisa said, thank you so much, JUSSARA, amazing presentation. Louise, what a wonderful presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Louise. Thanks, JUSSARA, for enlightening all on the subject and making accessible the idea that the characters and complexes making up a dream are aspects and dynamics within the dreamer's own psyche that we have been locked away in the subconscious. Yeah. So what a wonderful. Thank you, Adriana. And thank you, Jacqueline. It's awesome. But we are at the end. So just wanted to, hey, thanks, John. John is saying thank you, JUSSARA. I think it's such a great opportunity for all of us to learn on a particularly interesting subject, right? In my opinion. But I want to say thank you. Thanks, everyone who's been here today and watched this talk. And yes, I wanted to announce next week's Spiritist Talk, which is with Bernadette Leal. And Bernadette will be discussing the next step of gratitude. So come back next Saturday, July 22nd at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And Jussara, before we close, would you mind saying a prayer, please?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
So talking about gratitude, let's be grateful for the opportunity that we had, for the presence of the good spirits that have been inspiring us, guiding us, connected to us through this whole presentation in our homes, helping us in our process of paying more attention to the self and being able to march towards our liberation from the pains, the traumas, the pressures that we experienced in the past and are experiencing now. Thanking for all of those that are here together with us, with their tender comments, words of encouragement. And we prayed that the good spirits, our guardian angels, can continue with us, inspiring us, guiding us, bringing us courage to take the next step and prepare ourselves each time more to live an enriching experience during our detachment from the physical body, the sleep time. And we ask permission to close this presentation.